Well, we welcome you to a very special feature we're calling Coffee with the Commissioners, but we'll get to that in just a minute, won't we? We are so pleased to welcome Commissioner Paul Buchanan. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Commissioner Buchanan, we joke that we're calling this Coffee with the Commissioner, but we have a little secret, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And
Commissioner Buchanan likes Diet Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
He doesn't do coffee.
So no coffee, but maybe, Dr. Pepper with a commissioner. How about that?
Yeah, that would be great.
Now, sir, we want to take some time really to get to know you. We've had the great pleasure of working together for many years, and we want to share with our viewers a little bit more about you that maybe they don't know, maybe some surprises. We've already revealed one about the coffee, but really we want to talk about what brought you to Onslow County, a little bit about your kind of family side. And so let's begin first and foremost with how long have you been serving on the Onslow County Board of Commissioners?
This is my 13th year.
13 years that you have been, but that is not really how long you have not just been serving our community, but our country. And so really we want to begin with your story and where you're from.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. And
New Jersey.
What part of New Jersey, sir?
Monmouth County, which is West Kingsburg, New Jersey.
Okay.
I went to school at Hazlitt Township High School. I went to, a lot of people don't realize or know this about me, but I went to a Catholic grammar school,
Okay.
St. Anne's, in Kingsburg, New Jersey is where I went to elementary school, and then I went to Hazlitt Township School for high school. When I graduated from high school, I had gotten into the 120-day plan with the Marine Corps. Everybody in my hometown joined the Marine Corps. They always wanted to go to the Marine Corps, so that was my ambition to be a Marine. So I did the 120-day and came in June, right after graduation. I think it was September that I came into Parris Island as a Marine, and that's what brought me to North Carolina.
So you joined the service at a pivotal time in our nation's history.
Yes, during the Vietnam era.
During the Vietnam era, and then again you served in Vietnam as well, sir?
Yeah, I volunteered to go to Vietnam in 1965 and through 66, 13 months, and came back home in 67 as a Marine sergeant. I started out as as a private, like most of us do in the Marine Corps. Came back as a sergeant out of the Vietnam era, and then in the Vietnam era I was wounded. I have a Purple Heart from being in Vietnam. Don't talk about it a whole lot. A lot of us in the military don't discuss much about the Vietnam War, because back in that day, the people hated us. We were baby killers, and now that has changed. The community has changed, and Jacksonville, Onslow County has been one of the best places to live in my career and in my lifetime, because of the fact that we are a caring community for the military. We've done that complete turnaround from what happened during the Vietnam era. Now we look out for our troops, and that's glorious and great for me.
In the last 50 years, that evolution, that transition, and obviously your time both at Parris Island and Beaufort, and then serving here, it must have made an impression, because you chose to come back here and make this place your home.
I went back to New Jersey for a little while, and I came back to North Carolina and made this my home, and I've been here, I'm trying to figure it out, in almost 48 years now that I've been here in Jacksonville, Onslow County, and have done very well for myself. I started out working at a home oil company, then I went from there to Lonely Supply, from Lonely Supply to Williams Lumber Company, and then got to know the deputies and whatnot, and from them coming in and out of the store and whatnot, so they talked me into becoming a sheriff's posse, a mounted deputy sheriff for Thomas Marshall, who was the sheriff of Onslow County at the time, and that's where I got into the law enforcement side of the house. But I've always been around horses all my life, so the posse horse-mounted unit was really neat for me. And the deputies then, in 1971, kept talking to me and said, you need to be a regular deputy. So I became a regular deputy sheriff under Thomas Marshall. And then the Jacksonville Police Department, Lieutenant Jerry Reed, a very good friend of mine, he's deceased and an outstanding supervisor, talked me into going to the police department and work narcotics. So I started working narcotics in 1974 for Chief Cook.
Oh, my lands. To think about the evolution of your career beginning in law enforcement, and I don't think that many people perhaps were even aware that at some point we had a mounted posse here in Onslow County.
There's very few of us left, and really I probably need to research it.
You not only served as a member of law enforcement, but you took that passion, you took that career, lifetime career, and now you're training the next generation of law enforcement. Talk a little bit about your career as a teacher.
Well, where that all started out was Chief Halbert, which is my chief of police.
Yes, I remember.
But my last, I think I was with Chief Cook for about a year or so, and now Chief Halbert come in. So Halbert and I were probably together about 14 years. His ambition for us officers was to get our education. So I got my 2-year degree at James Front Community College, and then I got my 4-year degree at North Carolina Westland and Rocky Mount. I have a
yes,
BS degree in criminal justice. Without that, I wouldn't be at the college today. So then I took over the Basic Law Enforcement Training Academy at the college, and I did that for 10 years.
Wow.
And then retired, and then Dr. Lingle and Vice President Sharon McGinnis brought me back in 2004 to help do some liaison with all the law enforcement officers in Onslow County. And then in 2006, they asked me if I would take over the BLAT program again, and I did for 7 years.
Oh my gracious.
And at that time, it was, my doctor was telling me I needed to slow down a little bit, and my wife was telling me I needed to slow down, a little bit stressful. So I work part-time still for law enforcement, do all the in-service training for everybody in Onslow County, and that's what I've been doing. And then they had a director that took over for me after my 7 years, and then he decided to leave, so I took over the academy again for about 3 months. And now Lynn Condry is now the new director of the Basic Law Enforcement Training.
Very good. But I'm going to have to say, I don't know how much you really slowed down, sir, because not only have you continued serving as a teacher, but then you have made the decision, to run for Onslow County Board of Commissioner. Talk a little bit about that decision and what inspired you to do that.
Well, you know, in 2002, I'd run for sheriff. And at that particular time, there was 2 write-ins, and there was too many of us running against Sheriff Brown at the time. And so my decision was, you know, I had lost, and it was no big thing. I was still teaching at the college. But the interesting thing came out of that was a lot of the people come to me and said, well, why don't you run for county commissioner? And they talked to me about it, and it made a lot of sense. And the reason it made a lot of sense to me was I wanted to give back to the community. I had worked for the county, I had worked for the city, and I worked for the state of North Carolina. So I have worked for government for all my career, quite a bit of time,
Yes, sir.
over 32 years. So it was time to give back to the community, and I love this community, and we have come, oh my God, we've come so far. The last 8 years, the Board of Commissioners have done so much for this community, and you've seen that yourself.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's just amazing to see, you know, our new government complex. It's just an amazing facility. And then we have our new garage, which is out of this world. It's another new facility. I mean, we've taken our employees and give them better workplaces, and they needed that. I mean, being in buildings where there was no windows, being in buildings where we had mold problems and we had all this type of things going on, it was rewarding for me as a commissioner to give back to the community, but also to give back to our employees. I mean, our employees mean a lot to this commissioner, and many people over the years have heard me speak about our employees.
And I know, you know, it's so appreciated as well. The staff and the teams around the county appreciate and can serve the public when they have these beautiful spaces and inspiring spaces to do that. Well, you've been incredibly busy. Slowed down a little bit, then sped back up, slowed down a little bit and sped back up in everything that you do. It's amazing to think that you might have some free time, but in your free time, what is it that we might like to know about Commissioner Paul Buchanan and what he does to refuel?
I have been very fortunate as a young man, and to be able to do some of the things, some of the my fun things. I did a lot of diving for about 15 years. I was a scuba diver. In fact, I was an assistant instructor. Then I got back into horses again, and my wife and I in 1995 took a pine forest and made it into a horse facility, and we did that for 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
So we went from diving to horses, and then after the horses, when I became a commissioner, my first term, several of the generals on the base that I had met said, you're going to have to learn how to play golf. All politicians have to play golf.
Oh, okay.
And I says, you want me to chase that little white ball around? And I thought about it for a while, and I thought about it for a while, and then they kept on me, and I said, all right, well, I'll try it. Well, I tried that for a little bit, and it was kind of a lot of fun. But once I learned how to play, it's addicting.
Okay.
My wife plays. We both play golf together. So on Sundays, that's what we do a lot of times. We take all of our, because she works at the college also 40 hours a week. So on Sundays, we play couples golf at Bear Trail. And it really gives us that downtime and that relaxed time, and we're together.
Right.
And it means a lot to me to be able to do that. So that's my new hobby, playing golf. Another hobby I have that I haven't done a whole lot with is I was with the cowboy shooting stuff. I have all the equipment for it. I've only done it once or twice. That's a lot of fun, cowboy shooting, and I have the equipment to do that with, but I just haven't had the time to do it. And I am an avid shooter. I teach firearms for the college.
Oh, okay. So scuba diving, horseback riding, cowboy shooting, golf. And as we're looking at these pictures, it seems to me that you and your lovely wife also take some terrific vacations, again, to refuel.
We love the cruise, and it goes back to Lynn Condrey again. He got us started in that, and he's the director at the BLET, but Lynn is one of those consultants that helps you get into those cruises and all. And we used to, there for a while, we do a public safety cruise, which was firefighters, EMT, paramedics, and police officers, and highway patrol and whatnot. And those cruises were a lot of fun. We haven't done that in years, but we did that for 2 or 3 years. But we do like to cruise. We do like to take vacations.
Well, speaking of traveling, when you are out and about, either at professional conferences or on vacation, things like that, what do you tell people about home? What do you, kind of serving as our tourism liaison there?
God, I praise this community. It's such a caring community, and the volunteers in this community have done so much for us. I mean, if it weren't for the volunteers in Onslow County, I don't know what we would do. I mean, you've been there at least like I have for the last going on my 13th year.
Right.
These individual people are just the backbone of Onslow County. I mean, if we didn't have the volunteers, I don't know what we would do. I praise them, and then I praise our employees. And the citizens of Onslow County are so dependable. When we have a disaster, they all come together. I mean, when we had the tornado, I mean, that was devastating to me. I'd never seen one up front, and we worked for many days on that tornado, and the public, the help that we got from all the agencies and the citizens themselves. It's just a great place, and I tell people that all the time.
And in thinking about this community and recognizing our strengths and the talents of our community itself, what do you hope for it in the future? What's kind of your big dreams, or when you think about this place, where are we going next?
God, that's a good question. I mean, we've done so much and we've come so far. The only thing we have left to do, I would think, as county commissioners, is a new library. We need a new public library. I think that we've done everything else we could do, unless the citizens come up and say we might need this. There is one of the things that I really would like to talk about, and I think we need a sports event complex center. Not a sports complex, but a sports event complex, so that we could go ahead and do sports, indoor sports, but we could also do the Marine Corps ball here. We lose a lot of that stuff to other areas, to Wilmington, to New Bern, even to Morehead City. I think it would be really good for the community if we could come together. I know we're talking about spending some money again, but I think tourism dollars would help us out if we could do a sports event complex. That way they can do indoor sports, but they could also have Partnership for Children could have a place to do their big ball. You have the hospital have a big place to do their ball, because everybody goes to the American Legion. Good place, and those people are very, very good to the community, but it would be nice to have a place that you could actually do events.
In thinking about you...
And one thing, too, I forgot, the detox. I forgot about that.
Oh, absolutely.
That is another thing on our radar, and these 5 commissioners, all of us together, really want that, and we need that. We need something for behavioral health.
I think that you all have really come forward together as a group and expressed that so wonderfully, the need for that, for the health and well-being of our community.
Well, the health and well-being of the community, plus it gets our law enforcement officers back on the road. And it's all about trying to figure out, how do we get our officers back on the street, because they're tied up sometimes an hour and a half, 2.5 hours with this individual, and then they take care of everything, and next thing you know, they got him again, or her.
Right.
they had that same problem. So the detox and behavioral health is it's another big, I forgot about that
Oh,
one, and
sure.
I need to do that, or Robin Knapp will be on me about it, because that is one of his pet platforms for him, and it is for the rest of us.
Very good. Well, sir, we've talked so much about your career and what you've given to the community, but behind every great person is a support system. And we've spoken a little bit about your lovely wife and the things that you all do, but can you share with us a little bit about what inspires you, your family?
Oh, just having a good family values. My daughters, all three of them, I have 3 daughters and 8 grandchildren.
Wow, my goodness.
And their values are so, how do you say it? They're so great and so outstanding where they do. Their family lives, and we only see each other once in a while because they're scattered. My daughter Lisa's in Manassas, Virginia, and then Angela's over toward Rose Hill, and I forget, they just moved from Rose Hill. My son-in-law is a preacher. My other son-in-law, Lisa, is a commander with the United States Coast Guard, and then Kimberly is a single mother with 2 children, and so we have 8 grandchildren. There's 3 boys and 5 girls.
Wow.
And their values and my values are just, we talk a lot back and forth when we get a chance, but they're such upstanding young people, and they're not young anymore like they were. They're all up there doing very well for themselves in their careers, all of them doing very well for themselves.
And that's testimony, I'm sure, to your parenting and what you all have done as a family, what you've instilled in them.
They're just good people, and I'm so proud of them.
That is wonderful, sir. Well, Commissioner Buchanan, as we're kind of closing things out here in our conversation, is there anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to share with our viewers or tell them about our community or thank them? What is it that we could share?
My biggest thing would be to thank the citizens of Onslow County for allowing me to be a county commissioner for going on my 13th year. They are the people that elected me to this office. They're the people that believe in what I do is correct. Do I make all the right decisions sometimes? Not all the time we do. What we do is, and I'm going to quote somebody, Ed Brown, who used to be the sheriff of Onslow County, is a very good friend of mine. And he says, Paul, if you can make a decision and go home at night and you don't toss and turn, you made the right decision. If you go home and toss and turn, you might have made the wrong decision. And that, I've remembered that for years, and he's told me that when I became a politician 13 years ago.
Well, Commissioner Paul Buchanan, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing so much about yourself and for your vision that you have shared and the time that you have given. And we just appreciate everything that you've done for us. And we're so glad you joined us today.
Lisa, thank you.